Welcome to the first ever segment on the state of cross country in Nebraska. I am Dustin Llewellyn, one of the co-founders of Nebraska Elite Track Club, also known as NETC. Today we will look at the upcoming state meet in Kearney on Friday, October 21st, and explore the state of cross country in Nebraska. Before we hit the ground running, let me explain what NETC's vision and mission are. Our vision is to enhance distance running and everything track and field in the state of Nebraska. What does that look like practically? Or in other words, how is this carried out on a daily basis? This show is an example of how we want to promote the sport of running, but more importantly, support those who are part of this amazing sport. Student athletes, coaches, parents, and fans like me, I love this sport and am a fan first and foremost. I have had the wonderful opportunity to travel across the state and meet with some amazing teams. NETC during this season wants to provide coverage for all runners. We are at meets, live tweeting. We go around the state and look at practices. This past Saturday I was at Minden, Nebraska. I've had the privilege of going to Adams Central, going to Syracuse, Millard West, Millard South, Papio La Vista South, and many more teams. Even this coming up Tuesday, I will be heading to Omaha to view Creighton Prep and do one of their last workouts and video of that. Off season, we do camps and clinics. We actually have a camp coming up on November 4th through the 6th that is filled with 14 of some of the best runners in the state. Off season, we have and host Saturday runs in Omaha and Lincoln, and eventually this is going to spread hopefully out west to Kearney and even further out. We understand that people out west in Scottsbluff, Sidney, Gearing, or Mitchell, or Ogallala aren't going to drive all the way to Lincoln or Omaha to have a Saturday run. We always want to work alongside high school coaches and athletes. As I said before, I'm a huge fan, and I was also a coach of this sport for almost 13 years. And I think our sport is one of the most rewarding, but also the hardest, and one that usually gets overlooked. All the kids have run so many miles and put in so many sacrifices through not only the season, but in the summer and the years leading up to this state meet at the Kearney Country Club. And we just want to promote and get that visible out there, just as football is in our state. We want to make cross country just as visible. We want to provide an opportunity and a place for runners to be recognized, and allow for coaches, high school and college coaches, to kind of promote their kids or use as a recruiting tool. And this is just one small step we're taking. Now, we can't do this alone. If you can tell on the board, there's a map of Nebraska and just a few of the cities that are around this state that have amazing runners. And if I listed every single city, you wouldn't be able to see it too much, because we have some amazing coaches, but we need your support as well. So right up top, we have the GoFundMe.com/NE Track Club. You can also view our website. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you have gotten to our website at nebraskaelitetc.org. Our ultimate goal is to help, to serve, to love, and to care for this sport that has been bestowed upon us. By His grace, that we have the ability to run, and it brings me so much joy as I travel out across the state and been able to be part of these teams and really be part of the family. Cross country is such a family that it's just such an amazing feeling that your kids, as you send them off to school and to practices and to meets, that they are being taken care of. And this is just the amazing work that our coaches across the state do. There's almost too many coaches to name, but some of these coaches that I've had the privilege to work with, Coach Hazelhorse of Papio South, Coach Stinger as well of Papio South, Coach Wilson of Omaha Northwest, Coach Sean Wheelock of Minden, Coach Fowler of Adams Central, Coach Aiden of Syracuse, and the list could go on. Thank you to those coaches and every single coach that helps these young women and men out. Whatever we can do to help you out, please don't hesitate to ask, email, get a hold of me any way you can, and we want to support you. Now, probably on to what you're actually here for, and that is kind of to look at the state meet, to see what projections I have kind of put out there, both for top 3 teams. We'll look at the top 3 teams first in all classes, starting with Class A and working down to Class D. And then we'll do the individual top 5, going from Class D back up to Class A. Now let me state this from the outset. The state of cross-country running in Nebraska is at an all-time high. The runners that I will be talking about have really stepped up their training, their expectation, the meets that they go to outside of the Nebraska season, Nike Cross Regionals, Foot Locker, and other races that are even during this season where you're going to the Ames, Iowa, or Rimrock, or Roy Griak in Minnesota. That you get a chance and a taste of seeing what running is like outside of the state. I think for many years there was that fear of we weren't good enough. Many college coaches weren't recruiting as heavily in this state, but that has changed, and it's thanks to the coaches, it's thanks to the athletes, it's thanks to the parents allowing those runners those opportunities to travel and to compete against the best in the Midwest. So let's move on to the top 3 teams, and we'll go girls first, and then we'll head to the boys. So Class A girls, and we'll go with number 3 first. And we're actually starting with the defending champions, Papiola Vista South, who I had predicted number 1 at the beginning of the season. And as always, they've really come on in October. So my 3rd place team for girls Class A is Papiola Vista South, the Titans. Now, I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if they repeat. They are running exceptional. Anna Jennings, freshman, who just won the Class A district meet in Pioneer Park, ran a 1907, a school record, has really helped kind of solidify that team, kind of 1 through 7. However, there are just some other teams that are also coming on that I kind of have a little bit above them. Now let me say that I will be cheering for all teams and all runners at the state meet. Being a fan, I'm a fan first, so usually when I tweet, it's pretty good that I can text things out, but if it's video out, usually you'll hear me in the background cheering and yelling for runners. But 3rd place for the Class A girls, I have Papiola Vista South. 2nd place, runner-up, I think, is a team that's really come on and is really a brand new team compared to what it was last year. And this is the Lincoln East Spartans. With Maddie Mumo winning the district out in Pioneer Park with the 1935 on a tough course and an extremely windy day, they've got really depth 1 through 7. And this may be my dark horse or the shock that maybe Lincoln East was kind of on the outside, but I have them as my number 2. And this leaves us with the number 1 spot, and this is going to be the Wildcats of Millard West. They placed all 5 of their girls, their top 5 girls, under 20 minutes at Pioneer Park. And if you've ever run that course, you know it's a challenging course with right after the 4K mark a hill called Choo Choo Hill. It's a steep hill, and it's a pretty long hill. So this really, to have 5 girls under 20 minutes kind of puts them in the forefront. Their top runner has kind of shifted throughout the season. Gabby McGinn won districts, but you had Caitlin Johnson, who ended up being their 3rd runner on that day, going in 3rd place, won the Omaha Metro Conference, ahead of her teammate who got 2nd, both at districts and conference, and that was Abby Hefner. Moving on to the boys' side for the Class A in 3rd place, and this is the team that I'm actually going to view on Tuesday of this week, is the Creighton Prep boys, the Blue Jays. They have a really solid 1-2 runner in Jack Slagle and Ryan Eastman. And it seems like these two kind of go back and forth of who places ahead. Which, gentlemen, if you could kind of get that figured out so the rankings don't keep switching on individual, teasing. But they have a really solid team. Now, one of the weaknesses is they're kind of fourth and fifth runner. I mean, this is where I think the number 2 team and the number 1 team kind of separate themselves from. And in my second place, and this was really a toss-up, and kind of looking at the data and trying to compare times throughout the season, and specifically at districts, and comparing number 1 runner with the other number 1 runner. In second, I have Fremont Tigers, led by Coach McMahon. These 2 top teams, Fremont as runner-up, and then Millard West Wildcats winning both the girls and boys. These boys teams are top 2 teams, not just in the state, but in this region. And I really hope that they're able to run and run as well as they have been up at Nike Cross. And then I know Fremont goes up to Foot Locker in Wisconsin. That these teams are really looked at on the regional standpoint in the Heartland Conference or the Midwest. But Fremont runner-up, Millard West Wildcats winning. Moving on to Class B girls. In third place, I have Scotts Bluff. You can't be talking about a state meet without talking about Scotts Bluff. Their program that they have had, the culture that they have created year in and year out is top-notch. Their girls team I have as third. First and second is kind of like Class A boys of trying to pick. And it wouldn't surprise me or shock me if either one of these teams won. But they're actually finally getting to meet up against each other. In the runner-up, I have Aurora, which means in first place is Elkhorn South, the Storm. The Aurora Huskies versus the Storm. The quality of runners I haven't seen in my 16 years living here in Nebraska. The depth that they have, these 2 teams are going to go at each other. I really wish we could run these teams in the Class A, or have Class A go down, or have all of Class A and B, and some of these C and D teams run together to see who really is the top team. I think both of these teams, just as Pius has made the move from Class B up to Class A, can contend year in and year out with the quality of runners they have, the quality of coaching, and just the culture that they have created. But for Class B girls, we have Elkhorn South winning. The Class B boys, kind of 2 through 4, 2 through 5 are really muddled. I think there's the top team is really could set a record here of low points scored. But that doesn't mean they couldn't have an off day and some of these other teams could creep up. But in third place, I have Omaha Gross, led by Jack Larson, the defending champion of last year. And we'll talk more about him as we get to the individuals. In second is Norris Titans, just south here of Lincoln. They had a really good district meet. They actually tied with Mount Michael, but their 5th runner was ahead of Mount Michael's 5th runner. I think overall their 3rd and 4th are a little bit stronger, and that's why they're in second. But ultimately, this is how low of a score is South Sioux City going to put up there. They've got top 2 runners that will be contending for the individual title. Their 3 and 4 runner are not that far behind. So it will be interesting to see kind of how low that score is. Class C girls, and kind of getting into a territory that I've had the privilege to go out and see some Class C teams. As a coach of a Class A team, you kind of just hone in on those athletes competing in Class A. But with NETC, we really want to make that focus on all classes. And I've learned so much this year, and I'm so thankful for coaches that have really taught me a lot. Definitely the knowledge that I've gained has helped me become a better coach, and hopefully something that can promote the sport even better. In third place for Class C girls, we have Omaha Concordia. They've really come on in the last few years. And have a solid team this year, so I've got them third. In second, in Mitchell, way out west, we have Mitchell in second for the Class C girls. And then winning Class C girls is Columbus SCOTUS. Class C boys, we have Holdridge in third place. Right here, I apologize for the phone going off, apparently really important. Then in second, we have the Minden Whippets. And this was really tough after seeing their team on Saturday, and Coach Wheelock and Coach Goki and Coach Larson, that they didn't have their A game at UNK invite where Columbus SCOTUS won, Minden came in second. So this was really tough to kind of see where they would place at, and I almost wanted to move them up to first just for sentimental, but I think beyond sentimental, they're going to be there. It's going to be close. They came up 2 points short last year and to Milford, so I think as much as I want to put them first, if I go 1A and 1B, and it may end up as a tie and go to that fifth runner, but I got first also. In the Class C boys is going to be Columbus SCOTUS. I just think that the win at UNK, how they ran at districts, is just slightly ahead of Minden. But don't be shocked if the Minden Whippets are raising the championship trophy on Friday. Now the Class D girls, I've got in third place Norfolk Catholic. Second place, I have Aquinas Catholic. And then moving up, led by Riley Rice, I have the Ainsworth. Ainsworth has a top runner, and I think the ability for their third and fourth runner to move up to allow them to win the Class D girls. I also have in Class D, I've got Norfolk Catholic in third place. I've got Malcolm coming in at second, and then also winning Class D, I have Ainsworth as well. Now these may not follow the rankings as the coaches compile the rankings, and I may be completely off, probably why I don't go to Vegas, but these are the teams, the top three teams that I see from Class A, B, C, and D. Moving on to individuals now, we're going to do top 5 of individuals, and I apologize for mispronouncing names. I will attempt to do my best. We're going to start with Class D girls, and then we'll do boys, and then go up all the way to Class A. Class D girls, and we'll start with number 5, moving up. We have Katie Roach of Doniphan Trumbull. Katie Roach and her teammate Madison Quist has kind of gone back and forth, but the last meet at districts, Katie won that, so she kind of moves into that 5th spot. But don't be surprised if both of those two kind of end up in that top 5. 4 is Amanda Eritz of East Butler. I have her fourth. And from Crofton, which is definitely, this is a running family, Haley Ahrens. Now, second and first is really tough because these two have never met up, and we can go back and look at times, but courses are different, times are different. So this is really tough, and I was fortunate enough to figure out and to find out and have people tell me, hey, you need to keep track of this girl that's coming up as a freshman. And this is Riley Rice. I have her as the runner-up from Ainsworth. And I have her runner-up to Cameron Huckey, who I had the privilege of seeing at the first meet of the year in Seward. And she finished right behind Taylor Summers, who won the all-class gold last year for Millard South. Huckey is one of those, from Hastings St. Cecilia, is one of those hidden gems. I think people have kind of maybe just looked at the state meet the last 2 years and kind of lost her name. And especially for coaches, I think coaches are finally realizing that this is a top quality runner, not just for Class D, but for any class. That she's definitely going to contend for that all-class gold medal. So in Class D, I have Cameron Huckey of Hastings St. Cecilia winning, and runner-up Riley Rice. Now, Class D boys, from Ainsworth, I have Benjamin Ahrens, Ben. And next up in 4th, Justin Vrooman of Hastings St. Cecilia. He's had a solid season. Pretty much every single race he has run, he has won. But I think once you get to Class D boys, where some of these teams don't meet each other, that he's sitting there at 4th. But I think he's got the ability to move up even to third or second. I think first is kind of head and shoulders above here in Class D. In third, Trenton Caldwallader from Stanton. And I apologize for probably butchering that name, but I've got Trent there from Stanton in third. Runner-up, Jake Newholfen of Crofton. And then your winner, and depending on how low he can go, if conditions are right, we may see a Class D break 16. It's going to be low 16 for sure, and this is Eli Frazier of Aquinas Catholic. Moving on to Class C girls. In fifth, we have Zoe Ritz of Ord. In fourth, we have Christina Soto Stopak of Boone Central Newman Grove. In third, we have Kinsey Hurlbert of Holdridge. And in second, from Milford, we have Ashley Kraus. And then first, winning the Class C girls from Fort Calhoun, Taya Skelton. I think this Class C girls is going to be one of those where any one of those 5 and maybe even 6, 7 have an opportunity to win, because it is really close and tight for those top kind of 1 through 7 to 8 spots. Class C boys, in fifth from Wahoo, Ryan Volan. In fourth from Ogallala, Jack Lindgren. In third from Hartington, we have Brian Santiago. And then in second and first, from Minden, we have Aiden Wheelock, sophomore. I think the senior from Columbus SCOTUS, Nathan Ostayek, won at UNK, and I think that experience will kind of carry him through, but it's definitely going to be a battle. These two will be battling the whole race. So it may come down to that last 200 meters once you kind of round that curve for home. These two are definitely going to be in sight of each other. So it's going to be a really good race there. Moving on to Class B girls. In fifth place from Geary, I have Rebecca Rawlings. Fourth place from Aurora, I have Jonna Bart. In third place from Elkhorn South, freshman Allie Schillmoller. In second, and I think these two are going to do battle just like they did last year, along with Erin Lee, who's now running at Kansas State. But in second, runner-up for your Class B girls from Scotts Bluff, I have Whitney Ryson. And then winning Class B, I have Maisie Larson of Gretna. I think her times have just been up there, but I think both of these girls are definitely going to be contending for that all-class gold medal. But I think Larson with her 18:48 at Pioneer Park, her 18:50 at Walnut Grove, and then earlier her 18:37 PR. I think she's up there and just kind of nips Whitney from Scotts Bluff. But again, I think just like the Class C boys with Nathan and Aiden, that these two girls will be battling out through the whole race. Moving on to the Class B boys. In fifth from Gearing, I have Xavier Arellano. In fourth from South Sioux City, Osmond Giel, or Geely. Again, I apologize for these names. Hopefully I will get better as we go and progress through the years. In third from Scotts Bluff, Josh Hergenrieder. And then second and first, and I can see actually any one of these top 4, and maybe even top 5, really contend for that first place. I think these 5 are going to go out hard, and it may be who can control themselves the best the first mile to have enough at the end to have that kick. But in second, I have Abdul Kadir Mohammed of South Sioux City in second, and then winning and returning and defending his title, Jackson Jack Larson of Omaha Groves. Now these guys have gone back and forth throughout the year with kind of swapping who was winning. So it is going to be a battle all the way through, and it's going to be a really good race. In Class A girls, in fifth, and I kind of have to preface this with, since we have moved to a 5K for girls the last 3 years, this is the 4th year that the girls will run a 5K at the state meet. only one freshman has placed in the top 15, and that has been Taylor Summers 3 years ago when she placed third. We've got 2 freshmen in the top 5 this year, and we almost had a freshman last year with Maddie Muma, who I have sitting just outside the top 5 right now. But really, I think that could be a dark horse where I think she can move in and definitely contend for a top 3 spot. But I've got 2 freshmen in the top 5, and I think that kind of jinx of not having or just not getting a freshman in, because Maddie Muma placed 16th last year off of about a couple of weeks of training for the state meet. But in 5th, I have Chloe Heller of Lincoln Southeast. Now, I've got to interview Chloe and see Chloe run in a few races, and I think she's one of the special treats that if you get to watch her run, go watch her run. When that gun goes off, she has the face of a competitor. She has grit and determination. So any one of these girls in these top 5, I think, can move up from their place. And she is a solid runner, and a runner that, even though cross-country meets, unless you're at state or metros, you don't have to pay and go see. I would go pay and see Chloe Heller run. And she's from Lincoln Southeast. In 4th, another freshman who just set a school record. And that's a pretty impressive school record, because Papio-La Vista South has had some really good, high-quality runners. But Anna Jennings of Papio South, I have her in 4th. In 3rd, from Kearney, and the first time I got to see Rita Schnacker run was at state meet last year. I didn't recognize her at the Kearney meet last year for the track, but at the state meet, seeing her run and her determination and just her toughness, that got me. So I have her 3rd. I think she's really progressed this year, and she's gotten better each meet. In 2nd, and this is kind of a surprise for me, because all year I had Megan Means from Norfolk in 2nd in the rankings, and I think she's a girl, again, sitting right outside, that I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up top 5, even 2nd, 3rd place. But I have Gabby McGinn of Millard West. I think Coach Johnson of Millard West has really helped her along, held her out of meets where she hasn't been 100%. I think she's fresh, and she showed that by winning the district meet at Pioneer Park this past Thursday. So I think she gets 2nd. And then your Class A champion and defending champion and repeat, what I think, champion, and one of my former runners from Millard South is Taylor Summers. I think she's getting better. Her season started a little bit later than everybody else's, so she was still doing track in late June, where she went down to the Festival of Miles and ran a mile in 4:59. 1600 was a 4:57 for the equation. So she, even the first few weeks of the season, she was still doing base miles, so she's just getting into her workouts, kind of getting ready for state. So I think she kind of wins the Class A championship this year again and repeats, which would have a pretty good career, getting 3rd her first 2 years. In both 1st and 2nd those 2 years when she got 3rd was Geraldine Poe, who's now running at Michigan State, and Katie Spencer, who is running at Oklahoma State. On the Class A boys, and kind of maybe backshifting a little bit to Class A, there are some runners that I don't have that are in this top 5, again, that I won't be surprised if are in there. Diana Lotto of Lincoln North Star, Megan Means of Norfolk, Maddie Muma of Lincoln East, and there are a few others. And it's the same for the guys. There's probably legitimately 12 to maybe even 13 guys, 14 guys that can be in this top 5. I just think that speaks for the state of cross country in Nebraska, that the quality of running, be top 15 now in the state. It used to be around for Class A for boys 17 to 17:10. If you could run that, you'd be about 15th place. Now it's getting down in the 1640s and low 1640s. And if the weather's good on Friday, it wouldn't be surprising if 1630 to 1635 was 15th place. And we may have a record number of runners actually breaking 16 minutes for the boys on the 5K course, where we've only had 3 before at most, where we may have 3 to 5 in the Class A, and we may have multiples in Class B and maybe a shot with 1 or 2 in Class C and 1 in Class D. So we could have record numbers. So the quality of running in Nebraska has elevated itself dramatically. In 5, from Omaha Central, I have Alex Tollinger, who ran 15:58 at Pioneer Park. That's definitely a tougher course than Kearney, but you never know what weather's going to be like. It was perfect conditions at Lincoln on Thursday at districts. In 4th, from Creighton Prep, I have Jack Slagle. In 3rd, from Papio La Vista South, who's just on the precipice of breaking 16, is Jake Ralston. In 2nd, who ran 15:33 at districts and is a 9:10 2-miler and has committed verbally to Iowa State. From Omaha West Side is Milo Greeter. And then ultimately number 1, this isn't going to be a surprise, he has broken 15. A week and a half ago, he ran 15:02 at districts. He is number 5 nationally ranked right now, number 2 in some polls. And this is Seth Hirsch of Millard West. Seth is a phenomenal runner. And I think with him being so good, we don't realize how good that next group is of Milo and Jake and Jack and Alex and Jose Gonzalez and Ryan Eastman and John Quigley, Seth Hirsch's teammate, and a host of other runners that are going to be in that mix. But it's going to be interesting, and the one great thing about cross country is everybody's cheering for everybody. So people will be cheering for Seth Hirsch to see how low he can go. Can he break 15 on the UNK course? Will the weather allow that? Will the course be kind of hard and not be, soft because of rain? Will it be windy or no wind? Because Hirsch will run, he won't be the first person in the first 400 meters. He may be 10th to 15th place, but he is a consistent runner. He came through the first mile in 4:38 at Pioneer Park. And was sub 9 minutes at the 3K mark before he had to go up that huge hill at Pioneer Park. And still ran his last 2K in, my math is correct, 6:03 to run that 15:02. Now ultimately I would love to see, whether it's the UNK meet, we attempted to try to organize, NETC did, a all-class meet for the 29th of October. Because we would love to see these runners in these classes against each other, both individuals and teams. And maybe that's something that we can get going by next year, but just the logistics, the time frame, and again, financial, that just wasn't going to be feasible. To do it right and to provide a great atmosphere for all the runners, to have a championship atmosphere. So hopefully that's something we can put on next year, but we do need your support, we do need your help in promoting this. As I'm a full-time teacher, we're doing this in our spare time. There's so many people I need to thank, but first and foremost, my wife, who does all of the editing, does everything on the website. I get to go to schools, and I have the fun part of being part of teams and interviewing and watching cross-country meets, which I could watch a cross-country meet every day of my life. That's how much I love it. But we need your support, so if you can help us out any way, any shape or form, whether it's volunteering and providing information and sending, rankings, results, just information how the meets, following us on Twitter, sending us tweets and tagging us in it so we can send that out. Currently right now we've got 650 followers, and I kind of put a challenge out there to see if we can get 750 by state. But also the financial aspect of it. And I'm one of those people that do not like to ask for financial help. But if you go to the GoFundMe page, again up top, gofundme.com/NE Track Club, that would be greatly appreciated. Right now we're at 37% of our goal. We've raised $370 of our $1,000 that we want to raise. And ultimately, we want to be able to provide shoes and other items that runners from across the state may not have access to, or athletic fees that they're not able to afford. We want to take all of the roadblocks away from participating in cross country. We also want to provide a scholarship for runners that they may not be going on to college to run. They may not even be a varsity runner on their team, but a runner that shows up and gives their best. We'll need a coach letter of recommendation, a teacher letter of recommendation. You don't need to have a 4.0, but we want to provide an opportunity to go on to college for a runner and runners. So we want to get a scholarship going. We also want to be able to cover the sport even better. I want to be able to go out to Scottsbluff and Gearing and Ogallala and Ainsworth and every portion of the state, east and west, north and south, to do that, and just getting away and driving to those places. So we want to support and help the sport, but we also need your help and support. So any way that you can do that, even if it's just getting the word out about Nebraska Elite Track Club, that's greatly appreciated. Now with these rankings, anything can happen. And as a fan, I want everybody to run their best. So if you weren't mentioned and your team wasn't mentioned, maybe that'll be motivation for you. But hopefully the motivation is to do your best. As your coaches promote, get better each day. You want to be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. Tomorrow you want to be even better. Cross country is the hardest sport, physically and mentally. The hours that you put in during the summer to wake up, and it's hard getting teenagers to want to wake up at 6:30 to go run and beat that summer heat and humidity. But June and July and August are really where champions are made. It's running June and July that's going to determine how you run at state in October. And I think a lot of our runners around the state have started to put in those miles. And I think that can be seen by just the quality of runners that we have in all classes this year. And it's gotten better each year that I've been here. But I think in the last probably 3 to 5 years, it's really elevated. And the kids that are getting out and running at those other meets around the state, around the region, realize that next step up. And I think it's also allowing those college coaches, whether they're in the state of Nebraska or out of the state, to start looking and focusing on Nebraska, because there are some amazing runners. I think the all-class gold, I think for the boys' side, it's Seth Hirsch. He's far and above all other runners right now. The girls' side, there's probably a list of 5 or 6 girls that could win the all-class gold medal. You've got Taylor Summers, the returning all-class gold medalist. You have Maisie Larson of Gretna, Whitney Risen of Scottsbluff. You got Cameron Huckey of Hastings St. Cecilia and Riley Rice of Ainsworth. Any one of those 5 runners, I think, have a chance at that all-class gold medal. And maybe I'm a little biased since I was able to coach her, but I think Taylor Summers comes out on top for that all-class gold medal. But I think the time that's going to have to be run is going to be fast. And she does have the advantage that Class A girls is the last girls race of the day. So she'll see Rice and Huckey run. She'll see Larson and Rice run. So that kind of gives her a little bit of an advantage. The runners, the coaches, the fans, parents, the communities that I have been able to be part of during these few short months that NETC has been around, and it's going to be around a lot longer, and hopefully it grows bigger and bigger. We're going to have a camp in the summer, but this time in the summer it's going to be in Colorado. The one coming up November 4th through 6th is at Platte River State Park, and we have some of the best runners. Some of those names I just mentioned are actually coming out there. We've got 2 great presenters. Okay, we have 1 great presenter and then myself. But just the quality of runners and the quality of people that these runners and coaches and community is amazing. Cross country is family. And I'm going to leave you with one last little thing, and that was my time at Adams Central, Minden, and Syracuse. And the one thing that I came away with is the love, the caring, and the serving that these coaches have for these young men and women is amazing. There isn't one of those programs that I would want my son and daughter when they get old enough to go to and be part of. Syracuse, I've never laughed so hard seeing cross-country runners attempting to hit a golf ball, and that's in the Tempo Tuesday that we had up 2 weeks ago. Seeing just the faith and the love and running for his glory with Adam Central and Coach Fowler and those kids, of realizing what running is actually about. And then in Minden, just being able to ride my bike throughout town and follow the runners and the community members of well wishes and good luck and good job and all of the Minden Whippet signs that were in lawns was just a special feeling that I think doesn't get portrayed, isn't out there enough. And that's hopefully what NETC and I can do, is to promote our sport, to get the sport across the state. So regardless if you're class D, C, B, or A, that all of those things, are noticed from across the state. So we really want to help and promote that, and hopefully we can do that in the way and in the light it should be. We have a new series that's going to start here in the next few weeks, and that's Where Are They Now? We really want to pay homage to and respect those runners that came before us. And so those current runners that are in college, that are competing at a high level, whether it's D1, D2, a D3, NAIA, we really want to kind of shed the spotlight on them as well, as they carried the torch for the 4 years that they were in Nebraska, and they continue to promote and carry that torch for Nebraska distance running. I mean, these are just some of a few. Geraldine Poe of Lincoln North Star at Michigan State, Katie Spencer, Clara Nichols, Molly Shagru at Oklahoma State. You got John Nouns at Iowa State. You got Nolan Zimmer at Northwest Missouri State. Jacob Olson at UNL. Elsa Forsberg also at UNL. Bonnie Smith at UNL. You got Wyatt McLeod of Lincoln Northeast and Alana Ciso up at Augustana. And there are so many other, just besides runners, throwers. Shelby Brown of Lincoln East at UNL. Eleni Knapp of Millard South up at University of South Dakota now. And there's hundreds and hundreds of more runners that are out there, but those are just a few. So we want to really promote that as well. Thank you for watching this show, and good luck to all runners and coaches on Friday, October 21st at State at Kearney Country Club.